Hello, good evening. Hello, Bhavik. Abhi everyone will be joining after some time. So I am just starting the session. So I think सबको लग गया है शौक देके ये वाला mock. When I saw the scores, I figured out it's the VARC was quite difficult. LR was comparatively easier one as compared to the previous mock. Hello, Shubham. And QA was, I think it was little moderate, little difficult than the previous one, right? So तुम लोगों का क्या ओपिनियन है इस मॉक को लेके? आई थिंक एट अ लोअर स्कोर एवरीवन गॉट अ हायर परसेंटाइल. ये मॉक में क्या किया कुछ पता ही नहीं चला. देखो ये वाले मॉक में आई think we try to make LR, we worked specifically on LR to make it easier than the last time. So LR में I think it was a little easier. VARC का percentile score जो है वो when I saw the scores I realized कि okay, it was a little more difficult than it should be. So and if we talk about QA as well, so QA में भी कुछ क्वेश्चन जो ऐसे थे कुछ ज्यादा ही डिफिकल्ट हो गए. सो एक बार ये देख लेते हैं कि ये जो सीन है कि 99.5, 21, 22, 23, 24, ये हर्षित QA as compared to 2023 it was very easy. So 99.5 we had at 107, 93.4, 84.5. So if I look at overall percentile, so अगर मैं ओवरऑल परसेंटाइल को देखूं CDC Pro 10 के और 2023 के वैल्यूज आर क्लोज. ओवरऑल परसेंटाइल में 2023 की और Pro 10 की वैल्यूज मैच कर रही हैं. सो इसका मतलब पेपर, आई एम अज्यूमिंग दैट पेपर वाज अ लिटिल मोर डिफिकल्ट. ठीक है. Sanctum, you are saying how much percentile you should maintain. If you are aiming 99.9 percentile, then I would say you should not go below 99.5. QA was, I don't think QA was a bomb. There were few questions that were easily doable. तो आई थिंक क्यूए में कुछ क्वेश्चंस जो थे 7-8 क्वेश्चन तो आराम से होने वाले थे. क्यूए में इतना डिफिकल्ट नहीं था. VARC तो जीजो सर ने बनाया है. जीजो सर ने कुछ आई थिंक इट वाज a little more difficult. I have seen this. So अगर हम ओवरऑल परसेंटाइल देखें, so basically if you see the percentile of DILR 99.5 and 99 both are at 30. इसका मतलब 30 के स्कोर पे लाइन लग गई है लोगों की. Everyone is getting 30 only. कोई 30 के ऊपर ही नहीं जा रहा है. So this was very much surprising for me. मैंने जीवन में पहली बार ऐसा देखा है कि 99.5 और 99 में डिफरेंस ही ना हो. ये जो चीज हुई है कि everyone is scoring getting only 10 questions right. And you know, I've been teaching for a long time and I realized I have never seen 99.5 and 99 at the same score. So I think कि 10 क्वेश्चन तो बहुत आसान थे इस पेपर में करने in LR. लेकिन 10 के ऊपर देयर वाज अ फाइट. 10 के नीचे 8-9 क्वेश्चन करना, आई डोंट थिंक इट वाज अ बिग डील इन दिस मॉक. So let's start with VA. So Jijo sir might not be joining here. He has sent his video.
Sorry, I could not attend this session live. There is a personal issue that I have to deal with. So here is the recording. Okay. And this is VRC analysis. Before I sort of start with the analysis, there was something that I want to talk about. This is the distribution of questions. Global questions are, you guys call it main idea kind of a questions. Local questions, some people call it fact-based questions. And this logical question you could kind of call as a question which is inference based, is what normally people use at the term. When you look at the story of cat from 2017 onwards, right? 2020, this is the inference question. The red ones are the inference. There are hardly any sort of inference question. If you look at 2017 paper, if file that the paper is much accessible, the 99th percentile score is at the range of 74%. That's like there were 100 questions, almost like 73 marks out of 102 marks was like the 99 the 99 percentile. And here also the case. But when you look at something that changed with respect to the code story, is that a substantial chunk of questions where the logical one, in fact a lot of critical reasoning sort of questions came there, and that kind of sort of continued over the years. So, but if I look at across board, the paper which had the sort of the highest number of consistent logical reasoning, logical based questions, where the IMK paper, but I'm not saying any shape or form that that is what is going to happen next this year. I'm not saying at all. I'm just saying that history in the past and this happened, so why not challenge you with respect to these things? And when I look at VA questions, over there's a lot of this VA question where you get, I'm talking about paragraph summary, paragraph odd sentence, and this question like this. Whatever the paragraph that is given, in many cases the paragraph is very accessible in terms of I can understand this. It talks about current concern, maybe about AI, maybe about things like those. But there are also passages which are very academic in nature, talks about neural network, talks about the neural circuitry in the brain, something happens, talks about maybe something like phenomenal logical studies, some the vague concepts like this. And this, a lot of these I've seen here for sure. In this case, a lot of these passages were here. Of course, a lot many cases, maybe this would have been the two most toughest paper over the years 2022 and 2023, probably would have been sort of the toughest paper. And I will also consider back in sort of these days, I will also consider that also paper was a little more challenging as a paper. So wanted to sort of, this particular test was not created keeping IMK also in mind. I'm just creating sort of a challenge. Yeah, keep it a little high, but still keep it with respect to what is kind of seen at least in the cat. And when you look at the test, one of the challenge, of course, is a substantial number of questions were logical in nature. So this would have created some issues for many of you. From the, it was not dense at all. And if you look at sort of the topic, is one was on philosophy, but it's not as though this passage on pacifist is like a tough passage. It was talking about war, and it's not. It was very accessible as a passage, definitely accessible. Talks about Chinese brands. It's just a easy. I think that these probably these two passages may have little, but it still talk about colonialism, something that we surely understand as Indians. This is adapted from a book. And then about inside joke, what about humor? This probably will have little sort of extra bit of detail. So it's not as though the issue would have been with respect to comprehend in the passage. I think the issue would have been maybe with respect to interpreting some of these questions and also dealing with options. Uh, and a few, so that probably would have been the issue here. When it comes to paragraph sort of summary issue, I think that you've got book on language instinct, the journal history of economic thought, American Journal of Sociology, Frontiers in Natural Science, the Journal of Geology, book on philosophy and the psychology of time. So a lot of sort of kind of passages which could have put many of people off, but it's not as though it is intrinsically sort of difficult, but you had sort of issues here. And this is a distribution of score. I believe that this is based on till yesterday night. I'm sure that nothing much would have changed with respect to these scores. Uh, this is, so if I look at this compared to this, maybe from here it seems to be a score which is, let's say, 1 mark down. But you need to understand the cat has got 3 slots anyways, so it is not cat like one test. So there is a level of difficulty of 2024 is what I don't know. If, for example, this is actually the sales score, 41 is a scale score, the raw score in something will definitely be greater than that for sure. It's not an average, but definitely greater than that. There will be at least, and something maybe at least tougher than that, or maybe almost at the equal level. So it's not like cat has got one level. So if you want to kind of look at from a distribution perspective, you'll probably see that this might be closer to this than this. Okay. So it's just we are sort of looking at the 40s for the 99 percentile. Usually, we have seen the late 30s will also get a 99 percentile. Sort of back then, if you want to cross something like a 95th percentile, it's less about in this case about about 7 to 8 9 questions. Net correct will get you past that particular thing. I don't know how many of you are just hoping that at least I'll clear the cutoff. So that's sort of about in the range of about 6 questions. So you're looking at whether I'm able to get about 6 questions, whether I get close to about 10 questions, which will get here, whether I can get close to about 13, 14 questions to be in this case. If I look at the accuracy attempt, I can only see red, which is bad. And I can tell you for a fact that I never expected these many reds. uh, especially from this particular passage. I had expected that all this it will turn out to be green. I had expected that this one is going to have two greens. I had expected this one, of course. I had expected at least sort of a couple of greens here and sort of a couple of greens. That's what I expected. I expected that there would be, if it's turned out to be absolutely sort of crazy, a year paragraph summary. I think that always all about figuring out between two options. What is the issue? This sentence placement question where like, not kind of straightforward. Not so because, also because I believe that it's just a question of the subject that kind of put you off. That's basically what has happened here. Is I don't think it's an issue with respect to if let's say the subject were a little more accessible, you would have done it. You can do the analysis and then do this. A few things I want to kind of highlight here is for instance, I think the one of the issue that happened in this particular passage is understanding what is author's view. Okay, that's sort of issue that people had. It talks about criticism. Who is actually criticizing is missed by many. And the fact that this talks about a popular criticism and it's sort of it's something that is something that is seen to give priority. The author is talking somebody else is criticized, and author's position is can be seen here. Author's position can be seen there. Author's position can be seen there. I think this was a sort of unnecessary mistake that somebody made to make a mistake in this particular question. There was no reason why this particular question should have been wrong. Yeah, this is okay. Sort of, this was genuinely painful. Yeah. Again, so this was the critics of pacifism. I don't know whether the what the so this was also in terms of uh, sort of interpreting what the passage is. This was issue about what the author's position is. I think what happened here in this reading comprehension is if let's say the options are slightly twisted and given, disguised and given, uh, that people are it's like a situation where, and this is a general case, so there is a correct answer, there is a wrong option, there are three options. You picked up the two ones. Okay, you said that you eliminated these two things. Between these two things, it's finding it very difficult. Something that is correct is looking wrong, something that is wrong is actually looking right, but it's still confused. So this happened a lot. So what I want you guys to do is spend time on this as an issue. If you can navigate this as an issue, I think a lot of the issue would be taken care of. Okay, this was very deceptive. It's so easy to read. There are so many stuff. I think that what need to be done is to follow kind of a structure here, in terms of what is happening in this particular paragraph, what is happening in this particular paragraph, so on and so forth. And it's some of these options even talked about what does even white elephant mean. If you knew the meaning of, I think, the usage of white elephant, you would have got one question correct, or would not have made mistake. And yeah, so yeah. So this is like the question that is framed like this: invalidated, if false. How do we navigate? What does the question actually says? So this is sort of another issue that I found. When I looked at sort of paragraph summary, the case is case after case, which is about how do I differentiate between two options. When I reach two options, how do I differentiate which is right? So I spent little time in this time explaining how to deal with the situation. So please do watch the video solution. This is going to help you. This sentence placement question should have been correct. That's a silly mistake. Questionable level of paragraph summary, same issue. We are again, this is a general theme in paragraph summary. We are kind of picked up two options. How do I differentiate? What is it? How do I say that which option is better or which option is good? What is the problem in options? I have explained this in detail in the paragraph summary video solution. I really want you guys to watch this. Uh, this odd sentence question was genuinely sort of painful. Uh, and coming back to the European colonialism passage, I don't know why. I have no idea why people made this mistake. No clue. Question number two. I have no idea how this happened. Okay, I was surprised to see this, and also surprised to see this. Why would someone, which of the following is not a reason? and 34% mark this one. That is not, they believe that mere words could not be translated action. And it's clearly said it would end in words, not action. Verbatim. And that is not unpicked. The only thing that I can tell you is that maybe you did not read this, not, I don't. So it's a sort of silly error. We are back to the same sort of issue. I think this was of a different problem in paragraph summary. So I'll just summarize this. The paragraph summary has a continuous same problem. We can understand the passage, no problem. But how do I deal with options? Why are two options, so to speak, fields close? And what actually difference between the option? I mean, that is something that many of you should handle. What makes, when I look at these two options, how do I navigate between options? This was crazy. Okay, this sentence placement question you had to use logic. So this was a bit crazy. They said this is like an easy miss. I mean, this talks about psychological time. This also talk to time in quotes. This is time in quotes, time in quotes, time in quotes, time in quotes. This sentence is all about time in quotes. And the first time it's getting introduced psychological time is this sentence. Now, why would you put anywhere here? This had to go there. It was any other topic, you probably would have put it there. Then some people decide, I don't know where to place it. Let me place it in the beginning. So this is a silly mistake. And this odd sentence should have been cracked. And we have this passage. This was again was about. I mean, this was about this. This is about what does counterexample actually mean, and that sort of is a mistake. If you got that meaning of counterexample, you would have got these questions correct. So lot many issues. So across board, if I summarize from a learning point of view, what are the kind of tasks that you could do is, of course, first do analysis. And I basically my sense of the problem that's happening with respect to RCs is not so much if there is a comprehension problem, it's about in understanding, let's say, author's position in many cases, and maybe losing track of the structure. What is where, if the question forces to come back. These are probably the two sort of thing that happen. When I look at options, the difference between what is actually, I think the issue with respect to figuring out something that is taken from the passage, but written in a different way. So it is the same idea, but the same written, but the way in which is written is different from the way in which written the particular passage. And that is sort of difficult to pick. Is that sort of is what is creating problem, right? You are able to pick up the wrong answer choices. We are able to pick it up, but eventually, if let's say something is written in the particular passage, even if the same idea is given in the particular passage, that sort of is an issue that I think that most of you kind of are facing. And so that sort of issue. Paragraph summary. My take is that, okay, it's key about particular paragraph between option A, option B. I think that's both looks fine, but how do I now take the final sort of step in terms of figuring out, making the best bet? Odd sentence, I could not particularly pick anything. I think that many of you have just ignored odd sentence. Please don't ignore it. Sentence placement is I think the sentence placement, the issue is when we have a sentence and when you have a sentence that is blank, that is there, you're not evaluating whether these two are automatically connected. I think that evaluation is missing, I believe, in lot many cases. You're looking, or maybe you're looking at the sentence and putting it somewhere. You're not really looking at these sentences. Does the sentence have this place? If it enter this particular place, missing sentence, does it break the chain between these two sentences? Such kind of nuanced assessment is there. So I think what tells me is that this sort of lack of, basically we have put VA as a secondary role. It's like we are thinking, most of us kept VA as a bonus. That is the pain. So that is absolute. I don't know how many of you have taken VA. It's a bonus. If it happens, otherwise it doesn't happen. Okay. So that is sort of crazy thing to do. Please, would you ever consider 2 RCS bonus? First two RC, okay. The first RC, okay. Next two RC is a bonus. Do you look at this? No, you don't. Two RC is 8 questions. Why would you look at these 8 questions as bonus? I don't know. You have time. You have to deal with it. We have to go after this, figure out way to deal with this, figure out handling the problem, understand the issue. And then what then happens is that probably you will put little less pressure on this. If you had got, let's say, 10 marks from here, we got 10 marks from here. If we got 10 marks, and let's say my target is to kind of go to, let's say, the 90th percentile. Let's say that's my target. I need about 18 more marks. Okay, that's about 6 questions net per marks. Yeah, that's where I stand, and hopefully we'll look at more and more challenges as we go forward. And my sincere suggestion to all of you is that please redo all the questions once again. Definitely go through the video solutions, and I'm sure that it'll really help you. Over to DILR.
Deepa.
Chalo. Okay. Yes, I'm a little confused. If I look at the comments, लगता है कि verbal was very difficult. But when I look at 99 percentile at 95, it is one question extra. One question extra would have been the normal. Okay. But ठीक है. I'm actually surprised with the DILR results. मेरे को उम्मीद थी कि थोड़ा ज़्यादा अच्छा हो जाएगा लोगों का इसमें.
लेकिन पिछले बार से तो बहुत बेटर है.
पिछली बार से 7 मार्क बेटर है.
7 मार्क बेटर. पिछली बार से तो 23 पे 99 बना था. तो इस बार if you see 99.5 and 99 are at same score. मतलब 10 नंबर के मतलब बेसिकली जो टॉप वाले लोग हैं वो भी 10 ही क्वेश्चन कर रहे हैं.
हाँ, so देखो, my estimate was about 12 to 13 were doable out here. Maybe about 4 sets with leaving 1 or 2 question in and then तुम्हारे को 12-13 सवाल attemptable थे without too much of effort. ठीक है? But again, that's not the way the students have done it. Okay? And I don't know where they got stuck. So उसको देखते हैं. तो शशांक अगली स्लाइड पे चलो DILR की. लेट्स सी क्या कह रहा है वो.
This is DILR.
So I want to see the graph. हाँ. तो प्रॉब्लम यहाँ पे है. First set you have only one question, people have got it right. ठीक है. And second set, second कौन सा था? Which was the second set, याद है? First set तो population आता मेल फीमेल जेंडर रेशियो वाला. ठीक है. Second set was sorry.
Second
Prime numbers वाला.
हाँ, prime numbers वाला, yeah. ठीक है. Which is fine, which I'm glad that people are able to work with those. I think the fact that there have been 2-3 sets earlier also जो prime number के concept को use कर रहे हैं, I think people have been able to use that well. Set 3, I'm not surprised.
So many greens there.
हाँ, absolutely. I'm very, very happy with that second set performance. I'm also not disappointed with set 3 because my estimate was set 3 लोगों को हालत खराब होगी, दिक्कत होगी. And because of the amount of reading, it was more of a reading comprehension data set than a DILR data set. And which is why I felt कि इसको पहले पढ़ के समझने में time लगेगा, and that could be an issue. And in my order of sequence also ये पीछे ही था. I'm a little confused with set number 5. I don't think people have spent time because it was a fairly easy set. Because अगर इसमें logic समझना था. So between set number 3 and set number 4, I felt understanding the logic of set 4 will take less time, so it was my preference. उसमें. And similarly, set 5 खराब नहीं है, but I think it should have been slightly better. Good thing is that पहला 43 questions सबने pick कर लिए. लगता है choices उठा ली question 43 में. And similarly 46 also it seems people have picked up the choices and done it. I think that's positive. But अगर 43-46 सही किया है, then तुम्हारा set complete हो के पूरा से पेपर सही होना चाहिए था. If you don't get 43, 46 right and get the other two wrong, I don't have a problem. But 43, 46 सही हो गया है, तो भैया सेट तो complete था तुम्हारा. 43 tells you that and 46 tells you that how to complete the table. So if you have just picked up the data from these two questions, you would have got the paper correct. So मेरे को लगता है यहाँ पे स्टूडेंट्स ने मिस किया है. Just to give you my orientation for this paper was that I would start from शशांक एक मिनट वापस स्लाइड पे चले जाओगे?
Sir, I'm sharing the paper.
उस पे चलते हैं.
मैं पेपर ही शेयर कर रहा हूँ.
हाँ पेपर शेयर कर दो. हाँ
Set 1, I'm a little surprised.
नहीं सेट 1 मेरे हिसाब से it was fairly easy set and मेरा first preference ये था. मेरे को I'm a little surprised because if you look at it, while it looks like we have to do lots of calculation or lots of data, if you look at question number 25, 21 to 24, which had the least number of births, this fortunately सबका सही है. It is one of the highest accuracy rate ना, so I think we need not worry about it. How many baby girls were born in 22? And the number and the highest percentage increase in female population in the 5 years. Do question 27.
27 तो सीधा है.
हाँ
Data insufficient.
Data insufficient. हाँ बिल्कुल. Data
ठीक है ना?
insufficient है.
बिल्कुल.
2019 का डेटा ही नहीं
हाँ
है.
नहीं उसमें पता है क्या है? People have not noticed 5 years. That means 2020 is a part of it. They assume कि 21, 22, 23, 24 पे देखना है. तो which is I said पहले 27 करो, निपटा दो उसको. Now you need to look at baby girls born only in year 22. It does not matter how many girls were born in 2020, 23, 24. कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. So I just need to look at the starting point of 21 and 22 and do that question. So even from a calculation perspective, it was not much. So 25 का जो logic लगा है, वही logic question 26 में लगेगा. The only difference is you have to factor in the gender ratio, which means you get the number of females when these 2-3 months also, in these 2-3 years also included, and then work on it. So given that question 25 will not take too much time. Question 27 is the direct data insufficient. ये दो सवाल तुमको जो है 3-4 मिनट में हो जाते हैं.
GP 28 तो सीधा पढ़ के हो जाना चाहिए. सीधा पढ़.
मैं 28 को मैं माफ इसलिए कर दूंगा कि लॉजिक क्लिक नहीं करेगा कई लोगों को. कई लोग मिस कर जाएंगे वो चीज. लॉजिक का इशू आ सकता है तो उसको छोड़ सकता हूँ. बट व्हेन आई लुक एट 25, 26 दीज आर मैकेनिकल क्वेश्चन. दिमाग नहीं लगाना है, स्टेप बाय स्टेप चलना है. So which is why I'm a little disappointed with this 26 and 27, not so much with 28. 28 समझ आना चाहिए था, but मैं ज़्यादा disappointment है where there was a mechanical work to be done that was not done. Okay. So 25 ठीक है, सबने सही कर लिया, बहुत अच्छा है. 25 सही कर लिया तो 26 भी सही करना हो चाहिए था, because 26 में खाली तुम्हें number of female calculate करना था extra over 25 and that also for only 1 or 2 years. ठीक है बट
ये वाला सेट सबका ही सही है, सबने किया है.
अच्छा है यार.
29 to 33 गुड.
हाँ सबने किया है ये बुक वाला सेट. हाँ सो आई थिंक दिस वाज इजी डूएबल. ये वाला सेट तो अटेम्प्ट भी नहीं है और एक्यूरेसी भी खराब है.
नहीं इसमें बताता हूँ इशू कहाँ पे है. ठीक है, because when I was making the overview video, उस टाइम पे my feeling was that this is a data set. You just go एक थोड़ा scroll करोगे ऊपर शशांक, just scroll up a little on this data set itself. हाँ just go up. अच्छा ये दो sheets पे है ना, but just इसका काम करो. Can you just reduce the zoom? कहीं पे zoom कम कर सकते हो उसका of this particular page only. हाँ और कम करो और just reduce a little more. I want the entire thing. Okay. Yeah, just scroll up a little now. Just scroll up a little.
ये पूरा
जाओ, देखो फिगर नहीं देखना, फिगर के अलावा बात देखना मुझे. नहीं sorry, scroll down ना. हाँ बस इतना. Now the issue in this, look at you have to read about half a page plus of material to understand what is to be done. So reading comprehension का issue इसमें definitely आने का chance है. Not only do you need to comprehend, you need to also understand the logic by which things will flow. And that is something which I think many people would struggle with. और लगेगा छोड़ दो. छोड़ना इसलिए भी बनता है because the other sets are doable. I'm not saying this set is not doable, but given the fact that set number 1 is doable, set number 2 is doable, set number 5 में despite my disappointment से लोग सही track पे थे, वो doable था. एंड सेट नंबर 4 कौन सा था वो, अच्छा सेट नंबर 4 में स्ट्रगल करा लोगों ने, ठीक है, ये वाला सेट. बट गिवन दैट देयर वर एटलीस्ट 3 अदर सेट्स व्हिच वर डूएबल, तो इसको छोड़ दे तो मुझे प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, बट देन बाकी सही होना चाहिए था. हाय रवि.
हाय सर.
हेलो रवि.
Yes, now come to the third set again. हाँ नहीं, so ये जंक्शन वाला मैंने तो पढ़ा भी नहीं पूरा, तो आई एम द लीस्ट कॉम्पिटेंट पर्सन टू टॉक अबाउट हाउ इजी और हाउ डिफिकल्ट इज द सेट आउट हियर. बट आई हैव नॉट रेड द सेट, आई हैव नॉट सॉल्व्ड इट आल्सो, बिकॉज़ जब मैं कर रहा था पेपर, मैंने कहा ये मैं इसको initially I thought I'll look at it after I've done 2 to 3 sets, because my rule is any new kind of data set is typically easy, you should definitely have a look at it. I violated that rule today when I was doing the paper, when not today, a couple of days ago. उसमें मेरा रीजन ये था, मैंने 2 सेट करे, देखा है बहुत जल्दी हो रहे हैं, बाकी डुएबल है, मैं कहा चलो इसको बाद में पढ़ेंगे, बाकी कर लेते हैं, बाकी करते करते इसकी बारी नहीं आई. Otherwise my rule is any new set is likely to be easy, you should definitely go through it before deciding to leave it. But I look at them after typically 2 to 3 sets. Miss हो गया मुझसे. Not that I'm complaining, but हाँ, I did not follow that rule. Yes, शशांक, कैसा भी.
इसका पहला वाला क्वेश्चन बहुत आसान था. पहला वाला क्वेश्चन हो गया तो पहले वाले क्वेश्चन से एक अरेंजमेंट भी बन जाएगा इस वाले सेट का. वो मतलब पेशेंस ये इसमें पढ़ने का, आपका पॉइंट बिल्कुल सही है कि मतलब बहुत ज्यादा थ्योरी लिखी हुई है, इतना आधे पेज की थ्योरी पढ़ने के बाद आदमी का मोरल वैसे ही डाउन हो जाता है.
मैं आईसी का पैसेज कर दूंगा.
But next wala was not such a.
I'm actually surprised with the next set. इसको भी शशांक, if you just scroll up a little, I'm sure everyone has read. I want students to look at the questions to understand. Scroll down, scroll down. हाँ, ये और नीचे जाओ. हाँ, और नीचे. हाँ, अब zoom बढ़ा दो इसका. I want us to see the table and the questions. हाँ, just this much. Now, interesting चीज इसके अंदर ये देखो क्या है. Question number 39 and question number 41. If you can solve question 39, 41 का आंसर सामने है. Because how many candidates enrolled for the process, if you find that, and question 41, that is question 39, 41 says, by end of Friday, how many were left with at least one task incomplete? Those who had completed all the tasks were selected. So total recruitment minus total selection should give you that answer. मेरे को टेबल की कोई जरूरत नहीं है बीच की, कोई लंबा काम नहीं करना. So it is total recruitment minus total selection would have given the answer, and total recruitment question 39 में आ जाती. Okay. Similarly, question number 41. By the end of Friday, sorry, not question number 41, 42. If candidates with incomplete task at the end of Tuesday were allowed to resume only on Thursday. So small change in your table for question 39, और वो भी कॉलम ए के अंदर ही होगा. कॉलम ए और बी के खाती खेलना, उसके ज्यादा नहीं है. So this was a eminently doable data set. I think people have not understood the logic of how to move. Okay. वहां पे स्ट्रगल आ सकता है, बट उतना मुश्किल नहीं था जितना डेटा बता रहा है. रवि, किया ये सेट क्या, या पहले वाले भी?
No, I didn't get time to go through DILR at all. I was only
ठीक है. और ये सबसे अच्छा सेट था. If you look at question 43 and 46. 46, very early you can say that statement 1 is wrong. If statement 1 is wrong, then choice 1, choice 3 and choice 4 are wrong. The answer is 2 and 3. That means now I can complete the set. So which is why मैं कह रहा हूँ, अगर तुमने 43 सही किया, 46 सही किया, फिर सेट क्यों नहीं कंप्लीट हुआ? ठीक है, बिकॉज मैंने तो आधा काम करा, 43 से डेटा उठाया. 43, the question is with which of the following players did H draw his match? Okay. Yeah. H drew his match with F. That means C and F.
F तो होना ही चाहिए.
F तो होना ही चाहिए. मेरा काम हो गया ना इससे. Similarly, 46 में B had 3 drawn matches, पता चल जाता, नहीं हो सकता. That means A has won against match and B and C have a drawn match. ये भी हो गया. Okay, so statement 1 is wrong. अब बताओ यार, 3 extra pieces of data मिल गए, complete क्यों नहीं होगा सेट मेरा? Okay.
ये गलत है, ये भी गलत है.
Based on statement 1, not statement 3, शशांक.
हाँ, ये वाला ना.
नहीं, question 46.
He had drawn 3 matches for that.
हाँ, ये वाला गलत है,
This
तो उसकी
statement
वजह
is
से
wrong.
ये 3 चलेंगे।
हाँ, ये गलत है तो 3 स्टेटमेंट गलत हो गई। मेरे को 2 पीसेस ऑफ एडिशनल डेटा मिल गए, A1 अगेंस्ट H, C and B had a drawn match. A1 अगेंस्ट H शायद पहले भी कहीं पे मिल गया था मुझे, बट C and B का ड्रॉ मेरे को नहीं पता चलता था, वो इधर आ गया।
तो ये वाला तो मतलब उतना
तो
डिफिकल्ट
मेरे हिसाब
नहीं
से
है।
DILR is an underperformance as far as this paper is concerned. Yes, it is an improvement over the last one. There are 2 or 3 big postures out here that people have at least done set number 2 correctly. And even in set number 4, we've got at least, I don't know with choices or without choices, 2 सवाल जो पक्का सही होने थे, पक्का सही हो गए हैं. At least these are 2 postures I will look at, that there are some postures. And इसका question, इस वाले data set का जुगाड़ solution using the choices मैंने डाल दिया है. So just have a look at that. And DILR quant overview and जुगाड़ solution I have put already.
Sir, इसमें एक क्वेश्चन है मेरा कि how many sets in this paper would you say कि पूरा set का set बन जाता है? Because see, a lot of students, about 80% of the students that I know will typically look for solving sets even now and not prioritize solving questions over solving sets. कि
Right.
तो कितने है 5 में से जो
एक करके चलते हैं शशांक, पहले सेट पे जाओ,
बन जाएगा तो पूरे 4 या पूरे 5 बन जाएंगे ऐसे वाला।
The first set now, if you understand the logic clearly, if you don't miss out on data, चारों सवाल हो जाएंगे। But my guess is इसके अंदर जो दिख भी रहा है, question 27 people will misread the data in 5 years को 2020 नहीं लेंगे। That means you need to know the percentage, the growth rate of female population for 2020 also to be able to answer this question. That part people will miss and hence get it wrong. But ये attempt होगा. So purely from an attempt point of view,
8 marks का set.
हाँ. So this is a set जिसमें question 28 many people will not be able to get the logic and leave, and I'll say छोड़ दो कोई बात नहीं. But 3 out of 4 are definitely doable. Ideally 4 out of 4, but 3 out of 4 is a, I would say I'm fine with that. शशांक सेकंड सेट
ये तो पूरा ही हो जाएगा।
ऑल 4 वर डूएबल। इसमें तो ये 4 आउट, ये 5 आउट ऑफ 5 या 5 आउट ऑफ 5 था, ये इसमें डिबेट नहीं था। थर्ड सेट शशांक बताओ, मैंने क्योंकि किया नहीं है, आई वुड नॉट बी एबल टू कमेंट।
थर्ड सेट में एक्चुअली लोग इतना ज्यादा डेटा सेट को देख के डिसअपॉइंट हो गए, लेकिन अगर आप इस क्वेश्चन का आपने 34 कर लिया तो आपका आधा अरेंजमेंट तो हो ही गया। सो ये वाला सेट लेकिन इतना पेपर में नहीं हो पाएगा। सो आई वुड से कि नॉट डूएबल, एग्जाम में तो नहीं होगा, लेकिन
बट नाउ शशांक द क्वेश्चन दैट रवि आस्क्ड, if one does the set, is it a set which you should be doing all 5, or you can afford to leave, or there are a couple of questions maybe you should be leaving?
सर अगर इतना पूरा पढ़ लिया तो पहला क्वेश्चन तो हो जाएगा आराम से।
नहीं, actually, sorry, I just came in. I'm audible. Apologies, I got caught in traffic. Actually, first question, हाँ, actually, अगर first question देखें ना, ये option से eliminate होता है। Now, if you read the very first step, as per the very first step, if you go up, Shashank. हाँ, बस नीचे।
अभी step 1 देखना है।
नीचे आ जाओ शशांक। बस
खाली, हाँ चलो ठीक है, इतना काफी हो जाएगा।
So ये बोल रहा है 2 balls were released from junction 1. First got stuck, second reached its destination in 6 seconds. So the first that gets stuck will get stuck either at 2 or 6. If we go to the graph, it will get stuck either at 2 or 6. If you look at this, 5 पे stuck नहीं हो सकता, 2 या 6 होगा। अब ऑप्शंस पे आ जाते हैं एक बार नीचे। फर्स्ट ऑप्शन में 6 है और 6 ही जंक्शन है, मतलब अगर 6 पे स्टक नहीं हो रहा तो ये 6 सेकंड लगेगा। सेकंड में भी 6 ही जंक्शन है, 6 पे स्टक नहीं होगा तो 6 सेकंड लगेगा, मतलब दोनों पे 6 सेकंड लगेंगे। मल्टीपल आंसर राइट नहीं हो सकता, इम्पॉसिबल। सो दैट मींस दीज टू कैन नॉट बी द आंसर। एंड थर्ड वाले जंक्शन में 2 and 6 दोनों है, मतलब एक में 2 सेकंड लगना है, एक में 1 सेकंड लगना है, तो 7 सेकंड तो लगना ही है। सो 1, 2 and 3 ऑटोमेटिकली गेट एलिमिनेटेड। द ओनली ऑप्शन लेफ्ट इज 4, and that automatically gives you an answer that 6 is where it got stuck as well.
And दूसरा एक और जीबी द अदर फंडा इज 6 तो आना ही नहीं चाहिए, तो पहले 3 में 6 है, छोड़ दो।
That is what I just stated.
हाँ,
exactly, कि 6 नहीं आना चाहिए, because 6 and 2 में से एक होना है जो जंक्शन होना है। सो वो क्लियरली दिख जाता है, उससे looking at the options, then you also realize that 6 is where it got stuck. You are not now no longer confused कि 6 है कि 2 है. So you know 6 is where it got stuck because 1 and 2 wrong है. और जैसे ही वो हो गया, क्वेश्चन 38 देखो. क्वेश्चन 38 पूछ रहा है which of the following में बॉल स्टक है. जंक्शन 6 पता ही है. So either answer is option 1 और option 4. ऑप्शन 4 के लिए जंक्शन 10 करना है, उसके लिए खाली स्टेप 2 सॉल्व करना है. स्टेप 2 जैसे ही सॉल्व करते हो 38 भी हो जाएगा. So if a student is just looking at options, and this happened 2 to 3 times in this paper. Sorry, I missed the first half in case you all have already discussed that. But this is something that happened at least 2 to 3 times in this paper. आगे जाएंगे जो लास्ट सेट है उसमें आई एम श्योर जीपी माइट हैव ऑलरेडी डिस्कस्ड इट, पर उसमें भी सेम चीज होगी. And good part was, if I'm not wrong, वो last set के first question में there is an accuracy of 93-94% also. So that means students did realize, but in Shashank's terms, कौन है वो 6% who did not realize.
But Gautam, इसमें एक और चीज है. The interesting thing is the accuracy for questions, the first and the last question of that set is very high.
Yeah.
But the middle two questions is not high.
Exactly.
मेरा ये जब पहला चौथा कर दिया फिर तो सेट कंप्लीट हो गया ना तुम्हारा. फिर बीच के 2 क्यों गलत हुए? तो वो एक थोड़ा सा मिस्टेक है मेरे लिए. But I don't think it seems people have not looked at those questions fully. Okay? Because first and last हो गया तो पूरा होना चाहिए. My guess is from the last question they have not picked up the data and put in the table.
Yeah.
वो एक लास्ट स्टेप उसके अंदर मिस हो गया है. सवाल कर लिया है लेकिन टेबल में नहीं डाला तो फायदा नहीं हुआ उसका.
करेक्ट. एंड अगर हम एक सेकंड के लिए लास्ट सेट जाए शशांक, अनदर थिंग दैट जीपी वी वर डिस्कसिंग टुडे इज, बहुत जल्दी ये रियलाइज हो जाता है कि D and E है two individuals who do not lose anything. Now if D and E are not losing anything, then the match that they play against each other has to be a draw, half. And I think that is where a lot of people might have, it just might not have struck कि भैया दोनों हारे नहीं है तो हाफ हाफ है. और वहीं पे फिर पूरी स्टोरी खत्म हो जाती है बिकॉज 4-5 ड्रॉज ऑलरेडी यू नो. एक 6 ड्रॉ आ गया तो एक ड्रॉ बचा है. बी का मैक्सिमम 2 ड्रॉ हो सकते थे, 3 नहीं हो सकते थे. एंड दैट इज व्हाट जीपी वाज स्टेटिंग अबाउट द लास्ट क्वेश्चन कि इफ यू लुक एट ड्रॉ यहां से हो गया 43rd आपको आखिरी ड्रॉ दे देगा बस. तो इससे फिर 46 में यू एलिमिनेट द फर्स्ट वन. दैट मींस 2 and 3 बोथ हैव टू बी राइट एंड द सब्स्टिट्यूट इन द टेबल. तो वो वाला चीज दैट व्हेन 2 people do not lose any, so वो लोग का मैच हमेशा ड्रॉ होगा. I think, I hope people realize that, but if you did not, please make a note of that. That's a concept. It should strike. If it's not striking, concept की तरह पढ़ लो कि भैया 2 लोग खेल रहे हैं, कभी हारते नहीं है तो ड्रॉ हो रहे हैं मैचेस.
ठीक है.
So all in all, I would say, would you agree if I say कि set 2 was a set जिसमें चारों क्वेश्चन बनने थे and set 5 again was a question in which चारों क्वेश्चन बनने थे.
Set 1 पे तो सारे बनने चाहिए थे रवि. I think set 1 was an absolute sitter.
Set 1 there is a very lucrative trap over there, GB. I would have also fallen for
which one?
Question 27. The highest
वो data insufficient. Come on. 5 year है. See, again, concept. If there is 5 years and they are asking you for growth across 5 years, then the answer is always data insufficient.
Ravi, data insufficient है तो you would be extra careful ना.
Exactly. मतलब जैसे
अगर डेटा insufficient नहीं होता ना तो मैं सीधा मार्क करता, सोचता नहीं. डेटा insufficient है करके मैं देखने गया.
दिक्कत है कि पहले क्वेश्चन डेटा insufficient है क्या?
देखो
पहले वाले में नहीं है क्योंकि it says no because it says 21 to 24.
मैं वही बोल रहा हूँ ना. पहला वाला is 21 to 24. नेक्स्ट वाला is all 5 years.
नहीं तो वो भी डेटा insufficient होता.
If a set has n years and the question is about growth over n years, the answer is always data insufficient. So उसको concept की तरह लिख लो.
टोटली एग्रीड. बट मैं ये कह रहा हूँ कि पहले वाले में भी अगर मैं डेटा इनसफिशिएंट ऑप्शन पहले में भी दिख रहा है, तीसरे में भी दिख रहा है, और पहले में अगर मैं निकाल पा रहा हूँ तो मेरे माइंड में ये चीज ऑटोमेटिकली आ जाता है कि यार कैन नॉट बी डिटरमाइंड नहीं होगा आंसर्स.
बट वो सोचते वक्त यू वुड हैव रियलाइज्ड यू आर डूइंग इट फ्रॉम 21 to 25 ना.
हाँ
बिल्कुल वही है. आई थिंक इस क्वेश्चन में वही इशू है. गौतम, some people, Shubham has still not understood.
So Shubham, think of it like this. D and E are both playing a match. Neither of them lose. What will happen?
तो दोनों लोग जीत गए, इसका मतलब ड्रॉ हो गया. या दोनों लोग हार गए तो भी ड्रॉ हो गया। एक जीत
एक ही
हार तो
पॉइंट
कोई
है, देयर इज ओनली वन पॉइंट इन दैट मैच, दोनों में कोई नहीं हार रहा, क्या होगा? ड्रॉ होगा और दोनों को आधा आधा मिलेगा। दैट इज बेसिकली द कॉन्सेप्ट and the context. So the moment you realize that D and E never lose, so the match that they will play against each other is a draw. That's what we are saying. Not that every match is a draw. The match that they play against each other.
I think that was the key point in this set.
In that set.
जो
but वही है कि अगर वो नहीं भी देखे,
if I don't do it the way GP does.
Yeah.
वो नहीं भी देखोगे तो चॉइसेस से हो जाता है ना वो।
वही बोल रहा था, if I don't do the way GP does.
Yeah, correct. And मेरे को ये फर्स्ट सेट काफी अच्छा लगा. The first time I read it, even I felt 28 will take time. I had a chat with Shivku and Shivku was like एक बार क्वेश्चन ठीक से पढ़ ले. And then I was like, oh okay, हाँ ये तो बहुत स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड है कि 90 ही डिलीवरीज है और अगर 3 चिल्ड्रन होने हैं it has to be 1 + 2, there is no other option. So even I was thinking कि क्या होगा, but yeah, so I think that was also a very nice question कि DI का set है out and out, but the last question had nothing to do with DI. And another good thing about this set is, I don't know whether people realized it or not, the written solution that we have now, my suggestion would be don't look at it. The written solution. हाँ, मतलब मैं ये नहीं बोलता कभी मत देखो, but इस केस में एकदम मत देखना. The reason being,
Gautam, just to interrupt, written solutions of DI start with an assumption that I have to explain every small item in this, and hence they become so lengthy that they become.
Yes.
So if you want to start from scratch and learn the concept, बहुत अच्छे हैं. But if I am looking at solving the paper, then वो solution मेरे लिए ठीक नहीं है. ठीक है? Then मेरे को क्या सवाल
I was just about to state that कि अगर आपको ये समझना है कि हुआ कैसे, ये सेक्स रेशियो जब गिवन है, हाउ आर दे फाइंडिंग नंबर ऑफ मेल्स, नंबर ऑफ फीमेल्स, मेरे को स्ट्राइक नहीं कर रहा है, ये कैसे निकलेगा, फिर डेथ्स के बेसिस में नंबर ऑफ फीमेल्स, नंबर ऑफ मेल्स कैसे, इफ यू वांट टू अंडरस्टैंड एवरीथिंग बिकॉज यू स्टिल हैवंट अंडरस्टूड, look at the written solution. But the way to solve this set is not to create that table with those 7, 8, 9 columns. If you read this set, the last question did not need anything. The second last question did not need anything. And the first question is also an absolute sitter क्योंकि दिख रहा है 2022 and 2023 में कोई ग्रोथ ही नहीं है. Population end of the year दोनों में कोई 350-400 का फर्क दिख रहा था. So there were 3 questions where you did not need to do anything in this set. One question required a little bit of work, which is question 26. उधर भी ज्यादा नहीं, पर थोड़ी मेहनत थी. The good part about that was उधर भी 2 साल का ही देखना है, 21 and 22 पे काम करना है, nothing else. Yeah. So in case you have solved this set, but you have spent say 12, 13, 14 minutes on this set, that is also a problem.
Yes.
Please learn. Because this was a set which you could have actually probably done in about 6, 7, 8 minutes. You could have saved 4, 5 minutes और वो किसी और set में लगाते, maybe 2 और question होके 6, 7, 8 मार्क आते. So that is just one thing I wanted to point out. If you spend 14, 15 minutes in this set, please go ahead when you're analyzing. Problem है, I could have done it quicker.
यहाँ पे देवराज, I hope didn't get confused with men, women है, तो baby girls कहाँ से आ गया?
Sorry, I didn't see the question. क्या था?
तो देवराज, जितने बच्चे पैदा होंगे वो सारे के सारे बेबी बॉयज बेबी गर्ल्स ही होंगे.
वही बड़े होके men and women बनते हैं. I think मेरे ख्याल से वो confusion है शायद.
हाँ, I think ये comprehension issue है. But देवराज and सुभाष, शुभम, एक बार वीडियो सॉल्यूशन देख लो. I think Gautam, you have done the video solution.
Yeah, I've recorded them. Yeah. So just to give you all context, in case you all are having a doubt, if you look at 2020 year, sex ratio 1010 means for every 1000 males there are 1010 females. मतलब अगर number of females निकालना है तो 1010 females and 1000 males, मतलब 2010 people में 1010 are females. So you can do 1010 by 2010 into 50,250. Simple basic math if you want to go by.
And please
I think he got
मैंने
confused
वीडियो सोल्यूशन में भी कैलकुलेटर यूज किया है.
Men and women.
फोन पे यूज कर रहा था.
He got confused with men and women, thinking that you are only counting the grown-up people.
Okay.
No, ठीक है.
Got it.
Male, female, and men.
I think अगर gender ratio male female लिख दिया होता तो ठीक है.
correct.
Got it.
So I am not sure that I have made this mock. ठीक है, I just contributed in couple of questions, not more than that. और मैं खुद को टेस्ट नहीं कर रहा हूँ भाई, मैं मॉक भी नहीं बना रहा हूँ भाई. I hardly create couple of sets and couple of mocks, उससे ज्यादा नहीं करा है मैंने. ठीक है, I think till now I have made 4-5 sets.
But very frankly speaking, I understand students might be feeling बहुत difficult and so on and so forth. But if you compare this to CAT 22, 23, more or less उसी के आसपास हो आप.
नहीं.
99 percentile at 30.
देखो, irrespective of what the marks state, this was a paper which is very close to CAT 24.
Even
The
I felt
marks
that
are
I'm
not-
just going by marks, GP. Marks.
हाँ, मैं कहूँ the marks are not just saying that.
Absolutely.
But if I look at the absolute level of difficulty of CAT 24 versus this paper, this would be very, very close to that paper. Maybe just एक दो नंबर कम हो सकते थे, but these marks don't are not indicating that, which I don't agree with. Purely in terms of level of difficulty, in terms of the structure of the paper, as close to CAT 24 as you can get, this was it.
Yeah. And जरूरी नहीं है गाइस कि एक सिटर सेट गारंटीड आएगा. मतलब हमें भी अच्छा लगेगा हर मॉक में एक सिटर दे दे, बट जरूरी नहीं है. And having said that, according to me, this first set was actually a sitter if you were willing to be awake. अगर ऑलरेडी वर्बल के शॉक से गुजर रहे थे, then probably first set you might not have realized, but otherwise this first set wasn't too difficult. And then like Ravi pointed out, even set 2 will just make you work a little. If you are willing to spend 10 minutes, हो जाएगा. अगर ये है मेरे में पेशेंस ही नहीं है, ये क्या है 5 मिनट में सेट हो जाना चाहिए. कैट 24 में तो एक सेट हो गया था 8 मिनट, 5 मिनट में 7 मिनट में. Then it's a problem. Please don't benchmark things basis that. This set
but
did not have
CAT
much in it.
24 also, a good attempt was up to 4 sets. No? 3 to 4 was a good attempt. So even there, it was not that you had to do 5 out of 5. And which is why I'm saying to me, this was a paper, जिसमें 3 से 4 set होने चाहिए थे. Again, I'm repeating, the marks are indicating some other story. I'm looking at the absolute level of difficulty of the paper. Okay.
Good. Let's move to QA.
Ravi, what is your expert opinion on QA?
QA, I felt that QA was very concept oriented, and there were not many questions that you could manufacture logic on the point. कि मतलब ऐसा नहीं कि पूरा logic है, कुछ चीजें, I mean, there were at least 3-4 questions where I felt that you had to know the concepts. There is no way out. For example, you had to use midpoint and angle bisector theorem in one question of geometry. There was one question जिसमें a couple of questions in which आपको quadratic का सब कुछ पूरा जूस जितना आपने quadratic का पढ़ा है सब कुछ निकाल कर वहां पे रख देना है तभी जाके आंसर है. So I felt even though you know the concept, questions were a little on the lengthier side, while the number of sitters were there. I mean, there were about 5 to 6 sitters at best in this paper, is what I would say. And the other questions, all of the other questions, you would have to work a lot. So that is what I think the scores are also suggestive of. The 85th to 90th, 85th percentile at 14 marks suggests that people have attempted 6 questions. I think there were only 5 to 6 questions जो सबके लिए बने थे. And after that, it was a fight only. And if you actually look at the jump between 99th and 99th percentile also, it is evident that someone who is very good only would be able to solve 12 to 13 questions in this paper. But leaving half the questions in this paper would have still been a great attempt. 10 to 12 is my safe range, according to me. According to the questions I've seen and solved in this paper, 10 to 12 is a great attempt in this paper, is what I felt. And I was talking to you in the afternoon about that. इसी range में होना चाहिए, because if you look at the questions also, arithmetic में you typically expect 8 to 9 questions of arithmetic, but out of the questions of arithmetic, only 3 to 4 were doable by everyone. For example, you expect a question out of simple interest, compound interest in every paper, but you look for the question of compound interest in this, it turns out to be EMI. तो थोड़ा सा डर लगने लग जाता है. Then there is profit loss is something that you expect to be in every paper. you look at the question of profit loss, and then they say that the vendor is doing some 5% donation and only selling 95% and then doing remarkup. थोड़ा सा और टेंशन होने लग जाता है. So you had to work your way around in most of the questions. You expect time, speed and distance to be there. Normally you would expect P से Q निकला है कितने जहां पे मिलेंगे. But time, speed and distance में the moment you say it's a swimming pool and you have to find the ratio of मतलब 20 laps का पूरा देख के ratio of speeds find करना है difficult. So in arithmetic, out of the 9 questions, I found 3 to 4 were doable by everyone. Other questions were little lengthy. Again, coming to algebra, I felt the same. There were couple of questions based on functions which were doable by everyone. One modulus question, absolute sitter, which was doable by everyone. But other questions you had to both questions of quadratic were really painful. And एक क्वेश्चन में आप जबरदस्ती मुझे a power 5 plus b power 5 का आइडेंटिटी लगाने को मजबूर किए. वो उसके बारे में बाद में बात करते हैं अपन. But that was also there, right? So algebra also 2 to 3 questions were relief, others were lengthy. Geometry again, there was one odd hexagon wala question which was a sitter. The other 2 questions were lengthy. So in that sense, someone who has covered all of the concepts also would not feel very comfortable solving all of the questions with absolute confidence. Ratios का सवाल है, but ratios में multiple levels and cases find करके अपने को देखना है कितना blue fish है, कितना green fish. So that is the kind of effort that you would require in this paper. So this paper was not difficult. You just write down the concept, you write down the given data, keep working on it, you will find a way, but the paper would end up being lengthy. Hence, I would say my submission would be 10 से 12 is a very good attempt in this paper.
I agree with Ravi completely, but there's a small difference I have with Ravi. I love these kind of papers. For the simple reason, देख के 8 to power 5, B to 5 छोड़ दो यार, आगे चलो करना ही नहीं है. Decision making becomes very easy with these kind of papers. अच्छा, they are coming when that swimming pool में they are meeting 19 times या 13 times कुछ था ना? So,
13 times.
नहीं समझ छोड़ दो. So I love these papers because this forces me, because I have a big problem with those intermediate kind of जो tempting होते चलो करते हैं. ये बोल रहा बस हाथ भी मत लगाओ मुझे. The question is telling me don't touch me. So these are good papers, frankly, if you ask me, and that means that I have the flexibility of spending more time in the questions जो मेरे पास आता है.
Sir, इस ऐसे वाले पेपर में picking those 7-8 questions, 10 questions जिसका जुगाड़ solution record करना है is easy. But वो 13 meeting points in a time speed distance.
मैं करूँगा ही नहीं ना.
It's not easy.
नहीं मैं करूँगा नहीं, but Ravi, that's what I'm saying. To me, the जुगाड़ solution is not the issue. To me, the issue is I will look at that question and say मेरे को करना ही नहीं है. Let's go to the question paper. All I'm saying is there are decisions I have to make. Do I attempt this question? Do I leave this question? This is a paper in which was very easy to decide to leave some of the questions. सोचना ही नहीं पड़ता. Last question जो था, that alpha plus beta वो क्या पता नहीं NPK की 2P plus बस करना ही नहीं है. बहुत अच्छा सवाल है. ठीक है.
सर वो
So I would say there were at least 5-6 questions जो शक्ल देख के छोड़ने वाले थे.
थोड़ा zoom कर
zoom increase कर दो. Make it 150%. एक और बात देखा. I think this should be fine.
Now 47 is your quintessential set theory question. आपको आता है करना, but then you will have to check the bounds for all four, minimum और maximum उसका निकालना है, और फिर then आपको exactly 2 intersection of second and third question तक का भी आपको निकालना है. That is where it is not a difficult question, but it is going to be lengthy. It is going to take you 2 to 3 minutes.
The good thing about this paper was, or let me not say good or bad, the essence of this paper was either you spend the time on the question or you leave the question. There are only 2 types of questions. Time spend करने वाले और छोड़ने वाले. ये बीच वाले जो है सवाल बहुत कम दिखे मुझे इसमें. Not saying कि कोई नहीं था, but most of the questions were either attempt or leave. Okay? वो वाले थे. जैसे ये वाला, if you don't understand set theory well, you should leave this question.
Correct.
And basically black and white paper है, कोई gray नहीं है.
हाँ, ये 47 number question is not one question. In conventional terms, this is equivalent to 2 to 3 questions. Because मुझे upper उसका जो है all 4 का maximum minimum निकालना है, और बाकी 2 choices में से एक को check करना, तो एक और सवाल है. So typically each of them would be one question.
सर उतना डेटा देके अपन एक 4 सेट का सेट थ्योरी का क्वेश्चन DILR में डाल
हाँ, बिल्कुल
मैक्सिमम मिनिमा विद
हाँ।
2-3 टीटास
करेक्ट 2-3 डेटास डाला
ठीक है,
जा
so this is at least 2 questions. That is the challenge इसके अंदर कि तुम
Correct.
शुरू कर रहे हो तो भैया टाइम बिताने के लिए तैयार हो.
Question 48 again. This is arithmetic progression. This is just go by the procedure, you will get it.
हाँ, but
बहुत
इसमें ना my feeling is not many people would have been able to understand कि the difference of the terms is what you have to take. 60 minus 48 करना वो शायद नहीं होगा. अगर वो नहीं मालूम था, this is a very good question to revise. Because this is a concept that you should be aware of, that if you have this kind of a question, all I need to do is rather than add, I have to subtract.
Also, there is a catch in this question. It is asking not about the number of terms. It is asking about the number of integer terms. अगर option में 16 होता, अगर option में 16 होता, then you would find a lot of people getting a wrong answer.
Accuracy drop कर जाती है इसकी. Accuracy पक्का drop कर जाती है.
Ravi, in the afternoon, I was telling this exactly to Shashank. This should have had a choice called 16.
Correct.
Then I realized कि 16 भी होना चाहिए था. It was a blunder. 16.
Then question number 50, Ravi. Ravi, question 49 is you just follow the process. हो जाएगा. But question number 50, या तुम कर सकते हो या नहीं कर सकते हो, सोचना नहीं है.
This is a sitter. 50 is a sitter to me.
No, that's fine. Either you know how to do it, or you will handle it, or you will not. This is not your conventional. What you're saying now, that was correct. This is not a conventional average question. This is a different kind of question. And unless you are good in averages, you will not be able to handle this question. So this is either to be attempted or left. तुम देखो अभी तक 4-5 सवाल सब वही हैं. आता है कि नहीं आता है, ज्यादा सोचने की बात नहीं है इसमें. 51
That's what I was saying. It was a highly conceptual paper. Question 51, you actually needed to extract everything you know in profit, loss, and discount if you want to go by the conventional method. While there is a one-line solution to this as well, but you will require to go through all of that work as well. अगर आपको वो one-line solution नहीं चमका at that time.
रवि, one-line solution क्या? मेरा one-line नहीं है.
One-line solution इसमें ये है सर कि 20% डिस्काउंट पहले भी था, 20% डिस्काउंट बाद में भी है, तो 20% डिस्काउंट से कोई मतलब नहीं है.
बिल्कुल.
पहले 25% डिस्काउंट था, तो सेलिंग प्राइस बस बाय कॉस्ट प्राइस इज 5/4 पहले. अभी आप 19/20 यूनिट सेल कर रहे हो, then there is a multiplication factor for additional markup which will result in 133/100. Okay.
Right. Same
Just have
percentage.
X will be, that multiplication factor will be 112/100. It's a one-line solution. If you understand the entire context of the question. नहीं तो time लग जाएगा. 52 is a sitter. That is
ये sitter एकदम.
वो ratios, इस तरह का ratios का question, I guess every cat has one very very simple ratio question, and 52 is a question that embodies that. 53 again is a question of geometry. If you geometry है लेकिन आपको you are not able to see right angle triangles, you are not able to see equilateral triangles, that means you have to go into depth of geometry to understand कि इसमें क्या हो रहा है. Angle bisector दिया है, and then there is somewhere you have to also apply midpoint theorem in this. So it is a difficult one only.
Good question or easy question to leave. I will repeat that.
54 again, as you mentioned, a power 5 plus b power 5 आने के बाद अगर आपको समझ रहा है कि क्या करना चाहिए, a square b square या a cube b cube use करके we can go there. If you are able to understand it, you can solve. Otherwise, leave.
Shashank का interesting solution है इसका. He's converted. He said let the roots be a and b. So sum of roots product of roots से equation बना के उधर substitute वगैरह करके कह दिया है. Which is a good solution. मेरे को तो नहीं चमका था वो बिल्कुल.
Yeah. वो 15 साल अलजेब्रा पढ़ाने का है वो output. So 55 I felt 55 is regulation time and work. There is no excuse to lead this question.
अरे शशांक गुस्सा हो गया क्या?
नहीं, आई थिंक उसके वहां पे बत्ती गई है, बैकग्राउंड पूरा डार्क हो गया था अभी.
ओह शिट. सो पेपर है तुम में से किसी के पास?
हाँ, वेट आई हैव इट. गिव मी a second.
ओके, एक मिनट यार, ये ऋषभ की बात ले लेते हैं. ऋषभ, ये मजाक की बात नहीं है. यू एब्सोल्युटली राइट. Two things. If you look at CAT 24, this was exactly the CAT 24 issue. You look at the percentiles, they are exactly the same. Secondly, can you tell me what kind of paper you'll get in CAT 25? If no, then please follow what we are saying. If there no one knows what paper you'll get next year or this year. Okay. So please get used to learning from the papers rather than just worrying about the scores.
Is my screen visible?
Yeah, perfect.
हाँ
Yeah.
मेरे यहाँ लाइट चली गई, I'm sorry.
No problem.
So in between 55 and 56 are places where you can breathe actually. 56 is your day one of mixture and delegation kind of question,
Yeah.
right? 57 is the one that will take a lot of effort to identify what is happening. You either know that concept, you have done it multiple times, or you have not done it. That's
You have learned. Yeah.
58, I felt mazak mein this became very lengthy, because normally in a question where you have to go from A1 to A20, 25, you would work for the first 6 to 8 terms and you will be able to find a pattern. I kept on finding terms until I reached 12, 13 terms. I did not find a pattern. वहां पे मेरे को पता चला कि 10 का पैटर्न. So a cycle of 10 this is a question जो नॉर्मल अगर आपने कोई भी क्लास फंक्शंस का या सीक्वेंस सीरीज का किया हुआ है, you have practiced functions or sequence series, you will typically attempt because you know how to do it. But yes, it will, at the face value of it, you will not realize that it is going to take 2 minutes, 3 minutes, or 4 minutes when you are solving. So this is a question I feel that people would have attempted, but would have taken a lot of time to solve it as well.
The only saving, I mean, probably one method is you don't actually have to find the values of an and an plus 1 or so on. You just take the remainders, work with the remainders.
Correct.
I think that many people would not have done.
734 का स्क्वायर नहीं करना है.
हाँ, नहीं वो भी किया होगा ना, कुछ लोग किया होगा.
734 तक करते गया स्क्वायर्स, फिर मेरे को और उसके आगे नहीं करना.
You just add the remainders, keep adding the remainders.
59, as I was stating, compound interest is a question you will look for having done arithmetic, but then again EMI. But yes, there is a simple solution to this as well. I mean, the maximum interest could have been 4%. That means the maximum total payout could have been 24,960 divided by 4. 6,240 से कम होना चाहिए आंसर. There is only one option, 6150, which satisfies.
इसका मैंने जुगाड़ सॉल्यूशन डाला है. I have a simple approximation for not only this. I have explained how to use it. So guys, please go through that. This is a 45-second question at best. I've explained what kind of approximation is to be done. तो उसको देखोगे तो बहुत clear हो जाएगा. And that is the concept you should use for all questions of this EMIs. And the other thing is, most of the time when you look at these EMI questions, they'll give you compound interest. But compound interest, simple interest में ज़्यादा फर्क नहीं पड़ता, because we are talking about 2-3 months, 4 months. So when you're talking about 4 months, what is that? Then so I typically ignore the compound interest वाली कहानी and see the simple interest से काम कर लेता हूँ. Until the choices are very close.
Here the options are a little close, GP. 6300, 6150, 150.
रवि ने अभी दिखा दिया है 6240 से कम होना चाहिए.
वो तो उस मेथड से करेंगे तो बहुत इजी हो जाएगा.
ऑप्शन क्लोज नहीं है इसमें.
Question 60 is a जो normally you would draw a diagram for two circles intersecting where both the centers will lie outside the intersection, and then you will find कि अरे यार A should be inside the intersection, so you will draw the diagram again and solve it. So in that case, in that sense, this is not a difficult question of geometry, but it is a question that will take more time than expected. Again, a 3-minute question. 61, again you had to form cases and see what could not have been, which of the following cannot be the value of x is the question. So though it is simple arithmetic, it is basically करते जाओ आता जाएगा. 62 is your regulation f of x comma y question, which I think anyone who has practiced functions should be able to solve. 63 is a game of a little bit of numbers, a little bit of ratios. Again, not that straightforward. 64 I absolutely loved, because the question is asking for positive real roots. And the limiting points are -4, -3, and -2. Positive real roots can only appear in the x can be positive only in the last region, which is x greater than -2. तो 4 केस जो नॉर्मली बनाते हैं ऐसे 3 मॉड के केस में, वो बनाने की जरूरत नहीं है. You just have to solve for the last mod and you will be able to open
Ravi, I just put x equal to 1. It's satisfied. After that, जो quadratic first quadratic की वैल्यू वो बढ़ती जा रही है, बाकी कम होती जा रही है. पहला ही आंसर होगा. एक ही वैल्यू पॉसिबल है, दो हो भी नहीं सकती.
Then 65 was the sitter among the questions of geometry.
Easiest question of the paper.
Observe and answer question. 66. 66 abused me. I mean, it has been quite some years that I have actually written down -b plus or minus under root of b square minus 4ac upon 2a by any on any piece of paper. 66 and both 66 and 68 made me do that. These were on the higher level of quadratic equations, I would say. 67
Ravi, I just realized 66 have another solution. And that solution is, if you multiply both sides with 2, so you are going to get x square minus 2xy plus y square plus x square minus 2x plus y square minus 2y. Perfect square बन जाएंगे. So x minus y का whole square plus x minus 1 का whole square plus y minus 1 का whole square, that's equal to 2.
बात तो सही
है, लेकिन स्ट्राइक नहीं किया मुझे तो बिल्कुल.
हाँ, मैं कल रात से सोच रहा हूँ इसके बारे में.
मुझे अभी तुमसे बात करने के बाद मुझे रियलाइज हुआ कि क्वाड्रेटिक नहीं बनानी भाई. यूज ही नहीं करना.
रवि, ऐसे वाले क्वेश्चन में ना नॉर्मली आई ट्राई टू सब्स्टिट्यूट. मेरा काम होता है सब्स्टिट्यूट करके देख लो, कुछ ना कुछ तो लग जाएगा. बट दीज आर टिपिकली दो राउंड टू क्वेश्चन और इसमें नेगेटिव इक्वल चॉइसेस भी नहीं है.
सो आई विल ऑलवेज substitution is a safe method when the question asks you for the value of x or value of y. When it is asking about integer pairs, number of integer pairs that satisfy this, then it is basically, though it is theta, तो आप रिस्क लेके आंसर कर भी सकते हो, but you will never be sure whether your answer is correct.
Sure, absolutely. बिल्कुल कोई गारंटी नहीं है because you don't know how many cases you have missed.
Correct. 67, you could directly answer it from options because the question is asking the price of a reference book and it is given in the question reference book is 60 more than novel. So there will be two options which are at the difference of 60 from each other. The one with the higher value out of those will be the reference book. So 192 should be the answer directly. Either way. So, but yes, to solve it also, it will not take much time. Methodically solving it also would take it under a couple of minutes. So in that sense, I felt 67 थोड़ा ऊपर जाइए जीवी. 65
64
63 62
हाँ,
इवन स्पेस वाला हो जाएगा.
Then
59. I would say 59 was easy.
59 was easy in the sense कि अगर आपको वो चमका तो, but otherwise if you go with calculation and methodically you go about it, then you will find it difficult only. Even to use a calculation, that is painful.
Ravi, इसमें ना, just to repeat, though I put that in the Jugaad solution, what I typically do is loan divided by number of installments increased by the average interest rate. The loan taken is 24,000. There are 4 installments. So each installment has to be the principal repayment itself is 6,000.
Correct.
Now the first installment will take 1% interest. Second installment 2% होगा. Third में 3, fourth में 4. Average interest is 2.5%. So my answer should be 6,000 plus 2.5% of 6,000. Okay? 6,150.
Nice.
So ये जो है ना, again question में compound है, but मैं simple interest पे काम करता हूँ. Because whether it is 1% simple interest or compound interest over 4 months will not matter at all. Okay? So my formula is very simple. Loan divided by number of installments increased by the average interest rate.
And you know, that was
ये-
something I learned today when you were telling me, GP sir. मैंने कभी ये सोचा ही नहीं कि पहले वाले पे 1% ले लो, दूसरे पे बाद में एवरेज आउट कर लो, सो अप्रोक्सीमेट आंसर आ जाएगा. ये कभी नहीं सोचा. So I was
बेसिकली
going by that.
काम करने की कम आदत हो तो ऐसे मेथड निकल जाते हैं. But this is something that in future I would want students to remember. इस पेपर में नहीं किया. I think if you don't know my method and you tried this question, then it was not a good thing to do.
Okay. 55, 56 could be done by everyone.
Yeah.
Then
See, there were those 12 questions were there.
52 could be done by everyone. And one among the top 3 questions could be done by everyone. So that's it. 7 to 8 questions, everyone at best. A good student would go for 4 or 5 questions more in this paper.
I think
Because
12 to 13 is what I would look at for person who's a good student. I would say 12 to 13 is what he or she should have been able to attempt.
And in 12 to 13 questions, that person is also going to get 99.5 percentile. So basically everything, as GP said in last sessions, कि absolute score से ज़्यादा तुम्हारा relative score कितना है वो ज़्यादा important है. क्योंकि ये पेपर अगर as पिछले वाले मॉक के कंपैरिजन में थोड़ा सा डिफिकल्ट था तो सबका ही स्कोर कम था. So percentile stood at same value. Percentile ही ज़्यादा important है as compared to score, so you need to take care of that as well. So
Raghav, just to answer your question, the mistake an average test taker, not only average but most test takers take, is they start by saying I have to attempt so many questions. That is a wrong approach because you do not know what kind of paper it is. So the right approach for any test taker, average or poor or good, is that instead of having a number target, have a process target. I will follow a certain process based on which whatever number of questions I do, it is fine. And the process I always recommend is, my process is, if I read the question, I know exactly what is to be done, I'll do it. If I'm not sure about it, I'll leave it and come back to it later if I have time. So that is the process that you need to follow. So what Ravi and I were talking about right from the beginning was that it is very easy to leave questions because दिख जाता है question 54 दिखता है यार मेरी औकात के बाहर है छोड़ दो. Rather than getting worried, अच्छा मुझसे नहीं हो रहा, I'll be happy with this because you know other people will be worried and will waste their time on question 54. So please focus on the process. Don't worry, don't be fixated on the number of questions or the outcome. If you are just fixated on the process, ये आता है, for example, question 52 पक्का करूंगा. Question 53 I'll read and leave straight away. Question 55 I'll definitely attempt. So please focus on the process. So based on the clarity that जो आसान है, which I understand, I'll do. That time speed distance question. If I have not done that concept earlier, if I don't know that concept earlier, that is not the question I will touch at all. Okay.
So basically, so Anirudh is asking this. Auto adjust according to paper difficulty somehow. Okay. So GP sir, Shipu sir.
When it comes to the verbal part, the issue is in VARC, you are unable to do that. Okay. Now again, I will just repeat possibly what I said a couple of minutes ago. And good thing is, Anirudh, what you are doing correctly in DILR, you are not following it in VARC. So what you are doing right in DILR and Quant, that's what you need to do out here. Possibly, and I'm guessing here, I could be completely wrong, possibly because verbal seems to be a weak area for you. You are trying to overcompensate for it by saying, let me make sure, let me read again, let me try to get it right. I hope that is not what is happening, because if that is what is happening, the solution is also there. Which means stop worrying about the question that you don't understand. Okay? So clarity aani chahiye uske andar bhi. Are you, if VRC is your weak area, then many times we try to do extra work there so that we can end up somehow getting it right. Don't try that. Based on your understanding, whatever you understand, just mark the answer. That's exactly what you do in quant and DILR. You read the question, you understand, you answer it, you don't understand, you leave it. That's the same process that you need to just cut, copy, paste in the verbal also.
Just one thing that I might add here in verbal GP is, in quant and DILR, na, you always feel that this is a definitive answer. तो मेरे को दिखता है ये definitive answer आ रहा है, इतने आ रहे हैं या नहीं आ रहा, या शॉक लग रहा है. In verbal, even in mocks, at least that's how I used to feel, might not be happening with everybody, but even in mocks where you do well, you never felt everything that I'm writing or everything that I'm ticking is correct. And mocks which you did not do well, even there you did not feel that everything that I'm writing is not wrong, is wrong. So the problem that generally happens is, verbal को judge करना is also not as easy as a quant or a DILR, because वो definitiveness जो है वो थोड़ी कम होती है.
बिल्कुल ठीक है.
So because of that, sometimes it becomes difficult for you to then change. Oh, I need to have a fluid approach wherein, okay, एक mock में, last mock में से 20 attempt हो गया, इस mock में maybe 16, 17, 18 भी हो जाएगा, because I need to spend a little bit more time because there are a double negative in questions or the options are a little closer and stuff like that. So what that generally means is you need a little bit more practice, you need a little bit more exposure. You also need to be okay with the fact, like GP stated, कि I should not have a target attempt in mind in verbal, कि मेरे को कम वॉट में 24 करना है, कम वॉट में 20 करना है. अब वो लेवल ऑफ डिफिकल्टी ऊपर नीचे जाएगी, वो मेंटालिटी ऑफ मेरे को 20 to 24 करना है, ऑटोमेटिकली एक्यूरेसी विल फॉल, ऑटोमेटिकली द फ्लक्चुएशन विल हैपन. So that the lack of definitiveness, and also sometimes our want of attempting more, because accuracy rate in verbal is generally much lower than a quant or DILR. Generally we state if you're around the 70-75% mark, you've done well. These two factors generally affect a lot. So maybe be okay with not attempting too much, be okay with trusting your instincts, be okay with practicing a little bit more across different levels. And that's where this thing of having a so-called difficult mock or a so-called easy mock comes in, because you don't know what cat will throw up. You need to experience all of this.
I think, JB, it's also with verbal. In VARC, you don't get the idea whether the question is difficult or not unless you have read the entire passage and then go to the questions and then gone to the options to see that two of them are confusing.
Correct.
Right? So basically, if you have the speed of attempting 20 plus questions in a 40 minutes paper, that means you have the speed of comprehending 20 plus questions related stuff, including passages and OPJs or PJs or whatever. If you have that speed and you feel that there are more questions of the kind where the options are confusing, B or C में stuck हो रहा हूँ, ऐसा है, then
या पैसेज पढ़ने के लिए मेरे को एक बार फिर से ये पढ़ना पड़ रहा है, ये 3 लाइन फिर से पढ़नी पड़ रही है, एक बार में नहीं चमक रहा है.
Correct. So it is okay to attempt fewer questions, but it is not okay to read fewer questions. You still have to read those 20-22 questions in the paper that you normally do, but out of that, mark questions only that you are confident of कि उस टाइम पे B ही सही लग रहा है वाला मार्क करना चाहिए. B और C में अगर आपको लग रहा है कि कोई भी हो सकता है, then avoid marking such answers, at least in the RC part. In the VA part, when there are theta and all, you could go ahead with anything, even if you want to take that risk. Minimize risk in RC is a very good strategy when it comes to a difficult looking paper in questions where it is confusing. If it is confusing you after so much of hard work, just believe that it must be confusing everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, I'll just drop out. I have a class in 5 minutes, so I'll just drop out. You can continue.
Sure. I'll just pick up this question from Debraj. Can you also guide us on editing the CAT form for filling up I am Guwahati? Shall we go ahead and update? It's new. Any reviews? You are assuming कि कॉल आ गया सबसे पहले तो तुम्हें, then you are assuming कि तुमने कन्वर्ट भी कर लिया और वहीं जाना है. For now, please go ahead, apply. All you need to do is a tick mark. Hope that you get a call from another IM. Hope that you go ahead and convert it. Hope that you are in a situation where you can take a call on whether you want to go or not. बहुत सारे hopes हो गए to decide whether you eventually will end up there or not. So for now, please go ahead, apply to it, and then let's see where you are in the month of May once all the calls are out. We should never be in a situation where we state 2 months before an exam कि ये तो भैया मेरे औकात से नीचे है, ये औकात के बाहर है, इधर तो मेरे को जाना ही नहीं, पहले ये तो देख लो वो भी तुम्हें बुला रहे हैं कि नहीं.
पैसा कुछ एक्स्ट्रा लग रहा है क्या वो भरने में?
कुछ नहीं.
भर दो बाद में देखा जाएगा यार. QA with
Okay.
2023 paper. अच्छा 2023 paper I think was that one where I came out of the hall and said कि 6 क्वेश्चन तो इसमें मेरे से कभी नहीं बनेंगे लाइफ में. लोकस वगैरह था उसमें, राइट? ये पेपर ऐसा नहीं था कि ऐसा देयर इज नो इनसेन अल्ट्रा इम्पॉसिबल काइंड ऑफ अ क्वेश्चन कि कॉन्सेप्ट ही नहीं पता चलेगा अपने को इसमें. दिस पेपर वाज लेंथी, right? So there were not those 4-5 questions that were there in 2023 across the slots which were universally difficult and almost impossible to solve kind of questions. वैसे वाले इस पेपर में नहीं थे. Barring that, from the length of the questions perspective, I think this is very, very close to CAT 2023 also in terms of the nature of the questions.
लेकिन क्वेश्चन आसान थे तो पर स्कोर ज्यादा आना चाहिए 2023 के कंपैरिजन में.
तो उससे आई थिंक ज्यादा ही होगा. 33 पे 99 आए हैं. 23 में कितने पे 99?
उस टाइम तो 23 पे आया.
23 में I think it was close to 28-29.
Yeah, so it's about 1.5-2 questions better. So
yeah, because there was, as I said, there were 5-6 questions that everyone left in the paper. जैसे 5-6 सवाल थे जो नहीं बनने थे. इसमें ऐसा था कि टाइम लगाने से फिर भी बन जाते. So you had more choice to leave, more choice to select the questions as well in this paper.
7 मार्क्स का डिफरेंस है 99 में. 26 था उसमें, इसमें 33 है.
So that's decent, right? 2.5 questions roughly.
This is close to 2022. 2022 में भी 99, 2022 and 2024 दोनों में 99 33 पे गया था. 2024 में 99.5 37 पे था. इस मॉक में 38 पे. So this mock is close to 2024.
Very spookily, the thing looks very similar to 2024. Look at every percentile point.
DILR look close to 22, right, Shashank?
DILR looks close to, not close, I won't say close. No, QA. DILR also. ये देखो यहाँ पे आप देखो 22 का तो एग्जैक्ट डेटा मैच हो रहा है. 24 का भी डेटा मैच हो रहा है. 24 में 10, 11, 12.
DILR में भी था ना, किसी एक ईयर से बहुत सिमिलर लग रहा था.
और इसमें देखो 97, 99, 37 ये पूरा ही सेम है. ये वाला मॉक. ये DILR आप देखो, so DILR is close to 2022 or I would say 2023 DILR. So जिन लोगों को लग रहा है कि QA बहुत डिफिकल्ट था, इतना डिफिकल्ट नहीं था. कैट में भी ऐसा ही आता है पेपर. 2020.
I'll pick up Rakesh's question, how to improve in DILR. 41, 24, 37. Overall, Rakesh, if I'm looking at it, I think you've scored quite well. 65, 90, 102 marks. So I think overall you're doing well. 24 in DILR, not too bad, but yeah, considering your scores in the other two sections, and I'm hoping that you've done well, previously in DILR, maybe a couple of things to note as you go and look at the video solution and then you have a look at the analysis as well is, number one, set picking में क्या चल रहा था? What is it that you did? Did you pick up the right sets? Did you identify the hints that were there? Like for example, we spoke about there were a couple of sets जहाँ पे option say itself you could have answered a couple of questions. The first set, did you fall into the traps कि वो data insufficient है या CBD वाला है? Did you go ahead and spend time getting a 3.3% or 2.9% or whatever like somebody else was doing? So I think those would be a couple of things that I would see. Number one, time management kya hai? So when I am going ahead and analyzing, I would like to see that in the sets that I attempted, in the questions that I attempted, how did I perform vis-a-vis the other toppers? Because you're going to be one of the toppers. At a score of 102, you've done well. So how did I perform vis-a-vis others in those sets? Is it that, I messed up by spending maybe around 14-15 minutes on a particular set where on an average, the toppers have spent about 8-10 minutes. So, that itself is 5-6 minutes more, which I could have put in somewhere else and gotten a couple of questions right. So maybe 30 pe hota wahan. That would be one. Second, was I able to identify the hints? Okay, Rakesh has written, but sir, in DLR, both the sets I pick were easy, moderate, but not able to pick third set. Okay, so say you did that. You picked up the 2 sets. Now, if you look at this particular mock, even if you did not pick up a third set, there were at least 2 more sets where questions were giving inputs with respect to data that can be filled in the table. So, for example, we are talking about that ball wala set. Grid wala, ball wala. I don't know whether you solved it or not, but the very first question and the last question of that set could have been solved by spending just about 3 to 4 minutes. Now, did you identify कि वहां मेरे को hint मिल रहा है? That will be something that I would want to see. When you are saying that you picked up 2 sets and they were correct, my guess is the first and the last. I'm guessing those were the 2 sets that you picked up because the first and the last were probably the easiest. Then uske baad you still have that grid, the ball wala set, and you have the prime numbers wala set. Now, prime numbers wale set mein, if you did not realize that yes, after spending 10 to 12 minutes, I'll be able to solve this set, then that basically means ki number set may be comfortable nahi hai. So he's saying second and last is what he picked up, not the first one. So then that automatically means ki first wala set, what I've been talking about, right? What I was talking about upfront, ki first wale set mein there were 2 to 3 questions which you could have solved without even creating a table. The last question, at most 90 wala, straightforward tha. Data inconsistent, straightforward tha. The first question में 2022 23 से दिख रहा था directly answer आएगा. That means you got stuck in the trap that Ravi was talking about. कि देख के 2 data inconsistent stress हो गया. देख के कि भैया इतना ज्यादा मेरे से मेहनत करवा रहा है in terms of male, female, birth, death. मेरे को टेबल में बहुत सारे columns बनाने पड़ेंगे. You fell into the trap. Whereas when you look at the solution, you will realize that, there was no real trap there. It was straightforward. So maybe the objective there is, were you able to comprehend the set well enough? If you are able to comprehend the set well enough, if you are able to look at the options and identify nuances in terms of first वाला question है वो मेरे को 22 to 24 बोल रहा है, third वाला question all years बोल रहा है, वहीं पे मेरे को एक difference दिख रहा है. If you are able to comprehend all of that, then the first set is something that you could have easily picked up. समझो वो भी नहीं अगर हो रहा था, then the third set, which is the balls wala set, is also something that could have been picked up. It wasn't that it was a set that cannot be attempted at all. क्योंकि उसके अंदर also the logic wasn't very difficult and उसके अंदर the first question was also straightforward. So maybe if I am in your place, I would like to see the 2 sets that I picked up, which is 2 and 5. How much time did I spend on that? Ideally, the second set should not have taken anything more than about 12 to 14 minutes. The last set should not have taken anything more than say 10 to 12 minutes. So if I'm combining the 2 of them, maybe about 25 minutes, and say upfront 5-7 minutes you spent to identify which sets to do. That means you were still left with at least 6-7 minutes and 3 sets. तो मेरे को फर्स्ट सेट में वो हिंट दिख रहा था कि नहीं, एंड मेरे को वो थर्ड सेट में हिंट दिख रहा था कि नहीं, is what I would be concerned about. 24 marks in about 30-34 minutes is a good place to be in. But if I'm not utilizing the last 6-7 minutes to answer the one odd question and move that 24 to a 30, that would be the part that I would be worried about, rather than कि मेरे DILR अच्छा नहीं जा रहा. I don't think it's a case of अच्छा नहीं जा रहा. You picked up 2 and 5. That's a good call. You solved 2 and 5 in about 30-33 minutes. That's a good place. Not being able to utilize the last 6 to 8 minutes because you were not able to identify upfront that set 1 and set 4 mein options are helping me is where I would be worried. So that would be my takeaway from a very, very specific personalized input on how you approached Rakesh. Ravi, in case you want to add something, or Shashank.
I would like to stay with my previous opinion ke whenever you solve a set, do not stick to set. Always focus on questions that you can solve. So second and fifth one is were easy. ठीक है. अगर आप सेट 4 देखोगे तो सेट 4 में भी 1-2 क्वेश्चन है आसान है जो हो जाएंगे. ठीक है. सेट 1 में भी 1-2 क्वेश्चन है जो आसान है हो जाएंगे. So you don't have to solve everything, but Rakesh, the important point is if you are not reading the questions before you read the data set, you will never be able to identify those questions. So questions साथ में ही पढ़ने हैं जब तुम वो पढ़ रहे हो डेटा सेट. लोग क्या करते हैं, लोग डेटा सेट को पहले पूरा पढ़ लेते हैं, समझ लेते हैं, उसके बाद अरेंजमेंट बनाना शुरू करते हैं, उसके बाद वो क्वेश्चन देखते हैं. सो ऑन द अदर हैंड अगर साथ में क्वेश्चन भी देखना शुरू कर दोगे तो उससे क्वेश्चन सेट सॉल्व करने में एक हेल्प होती है. दूसरी चीज ये है कि उससे कई बार होता है कि 2 क्वेश्चन जल्दी हो जाते हैं, 2 क्वेश्चन मार्क करो, मूव ऑन. right? And that's how you increase your attempts in LR. ठीक है, LR में if you are going to stick to first set में जैसे everyone was saying कि question number 28 was tricky, it was not doable, ठीक है, तो छोड़ दो, 3 क्वेश्चन करो, आगे चले जाओ. So if you are sticking to sets, not questions, then I think that might be something to worry, and you need to learn how to leave a set after getting 2-3 questions right. That's it.
Yeah, so I just, Rakesh, to continue, you're saying how to identify those questions by reading. How else will you identify? You will not get any telepathy. By reading. Read the question, read the data. That is how you will be able to go ahead and solve. Now, if you're still getting confused, my recommendation would be go ahead and have a look at the video solution. In the first set, the moment I read the set, I read the questions like Shashank is stating. While reading the questions, I marked the answer to question 3 and 4. While reading the question. Because question 3 data insufficient, मेरे को while reading the set समझ आ रहा था. So I was 2.5-3 minutes into the paper and 2 questions were answered. Because I was reading the question. I was trying to comprehend. So that is what I would recommend. And it will not happen always. There will be papers where you will not be able to do anything in 14-15 minutes also. That is also normal. But then there will be papers where you will be able to if you're reading it well and comprehending. So please go ahead and read. Okay.
I think
And Shubham, I think according to my opinion, according to my knowledge, I think in VARC we have 24 questions. How can you get 7 right and 20 wrong?
Ravi, you were saying something.
Yeah, to just build on Rakesh's question and the answer to it. See, boss, in my mind, there are 3 types of sets you will find in DILR. One is table banao sab ban jayega. I mean, all 4 questions or 5 questions are definitive in nature. Second type of set is not on the type of set, but set se kuch nahi nikalta hai. Questions dekho. 2 questions definitive hai or 3 questions if hai, or 2 questions definitive, 2 questions if, 3 questions definite answers, 2 questions if, right? And then there is a third type of set in which all 5 questions are if, right? So typically when you're picking your first 2 sets, I would suggest you go for either the first kind or the second kind for the first 2 sets. And because typically if you take about 30 to 35 minutes, 30 to 33 minutes to solve the first 2 sets that you have picked, always keep that all questions if wala jo set hota hai na for the last. मतलब क्या होता है कि अगर आपको लास्ट में 6-8 मिनट भी बच गए ना, all questions if means every question is a unique case in itself. Most likely every question is a unique case in itself. In those kind of sets, you don't need to solve the entire set, read the setup, apply the case and get at least 1 or 2 questions right. So that is how you can get 1 or 2 questions right in the third set as well. So when you are looking at sets also, while choosing sets, look for the type of questions that that are followed in the set, and if you are left with anything less than 10 minutes, go for the set that has all 5 ifs. Believe me, you'll get 2 to 3 correct in that time frame. You can do that
because they end up being 5 standalone quant questions.
Correct.
Think that you're solving 2 quant questions in a matter of 5, 7, 8 minutes. Cool. I think that's about it. Guys, we've taken quite a few questions as well. In case you all still have any questions, please go ahead, post it below the video and we'll get back to you all. ठीक है, एक last ले लेते हैं, Aishani. I hope I'm getting that right. Apologies in case I'm pronouncing it incorrectly. I have good accuracy in DLR, but my speed is low. How to increase my speed, especially when under such time pressure? मैं एक चीज बोलूंगा और फिर मैं रवि के पास छोड़ दूंगा. I think I've been stating this for a very long time. I've stated this through messages in the test series Telegram group. I've stated it through shorts which are on YouTube. But I always state one thing. How much of the actual paper are you simulating during your preparation? Actual paper में DILR 40 मिनट ऑफ VARC के बाद आता है, जहां पे 2 RCs पल्ले नहीं पड़ा, आर्कियोलॉजी का कुछ दे दिया और क्वेश्चन में पता नहीं क्या पूछ लिया मेरे से, 2 पैराजंबल तो मैं 100% श्योर हूं, 5 स्टेटमेंट्स को किसी भी वे से कंबाइन कर लो, एक पैराग्राफ नहीं बनना चाहिए, ऐसे क्वेश्चंस आ गए हैं. एंड उसके बाद वी आर मूविंग टू अ DILR सेक्शन. द काइंड ऑफ माइंडसेट दैट यू हैव व्हेन अप्रोचिंग DILR फ्रॉम द 41st minute vis-a-vis when you are sitting at home and practicing and approaching it from the very first minute with a fresh mind is very different. which is why generally you are unable to work upon speed, because it takes some time to get over the first section that has happened. So my recommendation generally is, please simulate it as much as possible. Ghar pe bhi DILR should be done after 40 minutes of VARC. Quant should be done after 40 minutes of VARC and 40 minutes of DILR. 81st minute में दिमाग में जब वो फर्स्ट वाला क्वेश्चन देखोगे जो रवि बोल रहा था, वर्सेस फर्स्ट मिनट में देखोगे ना, जमीन आसमान का फर्क है. You will analyze this paper, you will come out and state, what was Ravi sir saying? I was able to do 15 questions. बट वो एक्चुअल मॉक में जब जाके दोगे 9 क्वेश्चंस 8 क्वेश्चंस भी लगेगा, अरे ये हार्ट अटैक, पता नहीं क्या पेपर दे दिया. There is a huge difference in the 81st minute and the first minute. Similarly, there is a huge difference in the 41st minute and the first minute. Try to simulate that as much as possible. I think that will help. In addition to everything that we've stated till now, question देखो, choice उठाओ, सही set पकड़ो, ये करो, वो करो, all of that. But that is one thing I'll add. Over to you, Ravi and Shashank, and then we can probably end this.
Speed doesn't increase overnight, first of all, right? Speed increases only with practice. That is the only key to it. But I think there is one method of solving questions that can really help you, an approach of approaching the sets that can really help you. When you read the set, read the questions along, like GB has mentioned multiple times in this during this session also. If you can read the questions along, then you will have a clear goal that मेरे को क्या find करना है, मेरे को B का value 7वें मैच में कितना होगा वो find करना है. Then the moment you have a goal in your mind, you will start working on that data in the perspective of that goal also, कि हाँ मेरे को ये निकालना है, तो then you will start running towards that, and that is typically what will give you more confidence while solving it. And in the first 5-6 minutes, अगर आपको पहला क्वेश्चन का जो गोल है उसके तरफ कोई रास्ता नहीं दिख रहा है, then most likely that is a set that is not made for you, and you can make a quick decision of leaving it as well.
And I think that set selection is not a skill. I think it's set rejection, because no one knows which set is right, which set is wrong. You read set, you read questions, and you understand कि ये औकात के बाहर है तो छोड़ दो. So when people say I'm slow in LR, you are not slow in LR, you are slow in leaving set. वो wishful thinking होती है ना कि मैंने 5 मिनट दे दिए, and in LR no one can leave in 2 minutes, 3 minutes. It takes 4-5 minutes to understand कि औकात के बाहर है. Leave it, move on next one. So कई बार ऐसा होता है कि वो 2 मिनट में पता चल जाता है, लेकिन कई बार नहीं भी होता है. So after 5 minutes you can leave. नहीं हो रहा है. विजुअल थिंकिंग में नहीं रहना चाहिए कि विजुअल थिंकिंग है. और क्यूए में भी यही प्रॉब्लम है कि मैंने 3 मिनट लगा दिए, अब हो सकता है अगले 2 मिनट में हो जाए. अरे जब 3 मिनट में कुछ नहीं हुआ है तो अगले 2 मिनट में क्या होगा? So leave it. So I think the exam is all about leaving a question rather than doing it. जो करने वाले हैं वो तो हो जाए.
This logic applies in a question of quant. When you want to solve the question using assuming values, what will you try to do? You will try to assume, you will try to eliminate 3 options, and whatever is left you will go ahead with that. कोई और चारा नहीं बचा, वही आंसर है. Similarly in VARC, you will try to eliminate the options and try to find the closest that means what the author wants to say, and finally mark that answer. In the same sense, you go through the sets and find those 1 or 2 sets जो आपको बिल्कुल हवा ही नहीं लग रहा है. The rest 3 you have to solve in some order. The rest 3 you have to solve.
Perfect. So, insane player, yes, confidence matters in VARC, and that is why you're at 2, whereas in the other 2 sections you're at 31 and 48. I think indirectly we pointed this out as well कि verbal में when you're unable to judge कि basis level of difficulty ऊपर नीचे मेरा नहीं हो रहा है, वो generally इसलिए होता है क्योंकि उतना confidence होता नहीं है. So considering you're at 2, I would say start from scratch. Objective should not be कि मेरे को 24 attempt करना है या 22 करना है या 20 करना है or anything like that. Objective should be कि मेरे को पढ़ के पहले comprehension skill है कि नहीं, वो पढ़ के मेरे को question समझ आता है कि नहीं, and how much do I keep coming back to the passage and how much can I reduce that. So I would go back to the drawing board and start from absolute scratch, because if you start from scratch and you're even able to do roughly around 2.5 RCs, maybe around 3-4 verbal questions, you still might do enough to get about 20 marks or so, which will automatically give you a little bit of confidence. Considering the other 2 sections, 31 and 48, In the other two, you're talking about 79 marks across DILR and quant in this paper. 48 in quant in this paper would be a 99.9 plus, maybe close to about a 99.9899, if I'm not wrong.
31 will give him 99.6-ish around, and 48 will give him close to 99.7.
Yeah, in quant, I think
in quant, 99.7, 99.8.
So 99.8 and 31 again is 99.6. So you're talking about very high marks there. You need to do enough in verbal to get a sectional cutoff sabse pehle. So for you, it is not about 24 questions and stuff like that. How can I do enough to score 20 to 22? Pehle get that into your pocket. For that, how do I go ahead and start right from the beginning? Comprehension skills pe kaise kaam karu? Memory pe kaise kaam karu? Why memory? Because 5 to 6 questions would be factual. For those also, you keep coming back to the passage. Aana hai, jana hai, aana hai, jana hai. I would say when you're reading passages from Aeon, NYT, Guardian and stuff, घर में कोई है, फैमिली में कोई है, फ्रेंड है, गर्लफ्रेंड है, जिसको है वो पैसेज दे दो और बोलो मेरे को पूछो, मैं मेंटली मैं मेमोरी से आंसर करूंगा फैक्चुअल क्वेश्चंस फ्रॉम देयर. वर्क ऑन फैक्चुअल क्वेश्चन आंसरिंग. You will get out of the 16 questions 5-6 questions which are factual. वही उतना आंसर कर लो कि you're looking at 14-15 marks to begin with. So start from the building blocks. Quant and DILR is a good place. You don't want to mess up not getting one of the top calls because you are going ahead and your memory is not good, or your confidence is not good, or you have an inability of comprehending because you've not read enough. So read for about an hour and a half every single day. Give those passages to somebody and ask them to ask you factual questions and see how much you can answer from memory. Work on verbal as well. Don't just work on RCs. Ensure that fill in the blanks pe kaam kar rahe ho, thoda parajumbles pe kaam kar rahe ho, and then slowly, steadily give yourself a challenge that I will see 3 weeks down the line where I am. Don't expect something will change overnight. Kal nahi change hoga, is Sunday tak nahi change hoga. 3 weeks down the line, has that 2 moved to a 12? 3 weeks after that, which will be very, very close to CAT, has that 12 now moved to a 22, 23. So take it slow and steady. You still have time. You still have roughly around 6 to 7 weeks. So it's not that there is a short amount of time. You're doing fabulously in 2 sections. This section may just start from scratch. Would be my recommendation. Perfect. I think we've picked up. Yep, we've picked up quite a few questions. That's it from our end, guys. That's it. Aeon works or PYQs? Aeon to read 1.5 hours. उसके बाद PYQ sectional and mock तो practice है. Read करो through Aeon, Guardian, NYT 1.5 घंटा हर दिन. Okay. If you are completely the opposite of him, Vatsal, then do completely the opposite. While you continue reading DILR and quant को adequate amount of practice do, simulate करो as much as possible. The good thing for you is DILR में can I do enough to do 4 to 5 questions? Quant can I do enough to do 4 to 5 questions? So start from the absolute basics again. Again in quant, you know, arithmetic plus algebra में आने वाले हैं 14-15 क्वेश्चन. वो पता है उस 14-15 में 5-6-7 तो सेटर होंगे. उतना ही अगर मैं मेहनत कर लूं that those 4, 5, 6 I am able to answer at least sectional होता है. The first goal in everybody's mind when you are looking at a subsection that you are poor at or weak at is मेरे को sectional जितना enough करना है. So first operate basis that. That's it.
Vatsal,
Once that is done, then think additional.
Vatsal, I'll give you a score. Put 55, 20, 20. You will get into a very good college. 55 in VA, 20, 20 in QA and LR. तुम्हारे गारंटी से सेक्शन निकल जाएंगे तो तुम्हारा एक ओवरऑल परसेंटाइल बहुत अच्छा बन जाएगा and eventually you will end up in a very good college.
Yeah, but so I hope you're also hearing what Shashank is saying, because then good in VARC will not work. Excellent in VARC would be needed to get to a 55. Good in VARC generally would mean you're hovering between 35 to 40. So Shashank is suddenly giving you a challenge कि भैया quant और DILR में enough कर to get sectional, verbal में भी बढ़ा उतना ही mark 15. So be clear about that, and that is something that we always state. If you are good in a section, then वहाँ पे good रहना नहीं चलेगा, वहाँ पे excellent हो जाओ. Okay, so that's it, guys. We'll wrap this up here. In case you have any more questions, feel free to post it below the video. We'll get to it. Good night. Bye-bye.
Good night.